Hey guys! So today you and I are going to talk about me and how old I was when I started programming. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, how old were you when you started programming seriously, and by what time did you have your first job? So I will just get right into it. I started programming, I would say, in a serious manner at least, when I was 26 years old. Yes, I did. So I'm not a genius kid who started out programming when I was 12, I was 26 years old. And the reason was very simple. That's roughly the time that I started my education, but I had started programming sort of a little bit before that. I think I got interested in programming when I was around 24 years old, something like that. It came by pure coincidence. I was at my computer, I was playing some games, and I was searching for meaning in life, and this friend of mine, he said that, hey, you know what, I took this, and he had just taken one course. I took this course, this online course on PHP development. And he said, hey, you should check it out. And I thought, okay, you know, I'm not really doing anything. I've been playing World of Warcraft now for X amount of hours and I'm kind of getting bored. Let's try it out. And I tried it and I absolutely loved it. And then I kind of just started consuming a lot of PHP stuff and like doing things like that. Quite a lot of the videos that a man named Kevin Skoglund has made, I actually watched. He was one of the first programming teachers that I ever had. And then I enrolled into a university here in Gothenburg that was offering an education where most of it was based on, like, it was software engineering, pretty much. That was the term for whatever it was that we were doing. And I studied my absolute ass off on a few courses I was preparing, because I actually missed the first semester by 2 weeks. The application period had passed, I'm sorry to say. Well, actually, I'm not sorry to say that, because I had that after I missed that, I made a personal commitment to myself and I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to pull all my time for this coming year into preparing to be able to apply, because the thing with this specific university was trying to pride itself on that you needed to have the grades, but they also had like a personal type of exam where they're basically going to interview you and see if you are applicable to take this education. Because I don't know how it is for you in your country, but here in Sweden education is free, so I don't have to pay tuitions or anything like that, which means that there's a finite amount of spots. So now they're going to go and check, are you actually the sort of person that we want to give this sort of education to? And it was actually true. By the end of that semester, we started out with, my class had like I think around 30 or 40 people. By the end, I think we were 7 or 8 or something like that after the whole thing was over. So quite a lot of people quit, right? So after, I think I got my first job, I guess my first part-time job as a programmer started roughly around 6 months after I had started this education. So I joined this startup basically with 2 guys who were looking for someone who knew how to code, and my teacher recommended me and said that basically what they need is some person who knows everything, like both front-end, back-end, mobile development, and etc. etc. And I mean, I'm not gonna say anything about this. He just said that I might be interested in this. I was not a master programmer, guys. Quite a lot of the most painful learnings that I have made in my career was part of that project. I'm very happy that I did go through that project, but it absolutely crashed and burned, and as it should, because, you know, being a genius from day one, that's not cool. You have to work a little bit for it. You can't just right off the bat become a great success, right? But I think I got my first full-time job 2 years later, about age 28. That's when it kind of started. My education wasn't fully over, but that's when we were getting to a point where, all right, we now knew enough to actually apply for jobs and stuff like that. So I was actually headhunted for that position here in Gothenburg by a local firm that I had showed some interest in, and they thought, hey, you know what, it would be cool if you took your internships here at us, and like if you wanted to start working at this company afterwards. And that felt pretty good, yeah. So the reason why I wanted to take this question is not because, you know, I do enjoy talking about myself, I mean, who doesn't, but it's not so much about me, it's more about the vast amount of people that come to me and ask pretty much the same question, because this is not the first time I have answered this question in a different format. You may recognize this question in the format of, Fredrik, I am 25 years old, I am 28 years old, I am 30 years old, I'm 35 years old. Is it too late for me to become a programmer? And that's the thing I want you to take away from this, guys. When I started, I was not, and I'm sorry if this is something that you have been led to believe. You see, guys, learning how to program is not something that is beyond you just because you have passed a certain threshold in life. It's not like the only people who are programmers are these little kids who started out when they were 8 or 12 years old. I have met these people as well. And I can tell you from experience that there's nothing super special about them. Most of them are smart, they've had more years to practice, but that does not equate into some magical superhuman ability to write code. That doesn't mean that they are some type of super genius. That's the thing that you need to really grasp about this. Programming for a long time doesn't mean that you are just immensely much smarter than everybody else. The reality rather, of what it is that makes you a really good and clever and smart programmer is not how long you have been doing it. That's just an indicator that shows roughly how good you should be, but rather it is how much resistance and the challenges, if you will, of the projects that you have been working on has offered to you. It's very much like strength training. It's not about how long you've been lifting weights, it's about how much weight have you lifted. How much resistance have you forced yourself to go through, and how much has your muscles had to work, right? So that's the thing you should remember. It's not about being this young little teenager and then that's the time you need to become a programmer in order to get somewhere. It is about starting, committing to something, and doing the thing that I think everybody should do who wants to take on a challenge like this, and that is to not ask the question, how old should I be, or how much time do I need to invest? The real question is, are you willing to invest as much as needed? Have a great day.